Hey guys, welcome to Across the Table with Rodney and Isabel Turman. Today we are actually on the road, and so our podcast is going to be recorded while we are road tripping to Arizona to drop Isaac off at the Grand Canyon for his job for the next 5 months. So the last week we have been in Utah visiting Zion National Park. We've done the Narrows. We hiked the Emerald Pools, and that was great.
Yeah, it was.
We also got to see all the mountains, every kind of mountain you could imagine,
Yeah.
and that was great also. So today's guest is going to be Isaac, since we're not going to have him with us for quite a long time, and so we wanted to give him an opportunity to talk about what he's going to be doing and kind of his life up to this point and what he is looking forward to for the next few years or so. So Rodney, what has been your experience with this trip out here?
Oh man, I guess just driving. I love road trips, so any family out there that just wants to take a road trip, do it, because there's so much to see. We drove through Colorado, which was amazing, then Utah, and now we're going to Arizona. So it's been a lot of driving, but words or pictures cannot depict what you see. So it's just been a beautiful experience. Zion National Park. I encourage everybody to go out there if you can, if you ever get out west. It's just a beautiful place. We did the river walk. We did Emerald Pools, like you said. Just a great spot. So, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I love it. One thing that I do love about this trip is what we call windshield time. Our time together, just talking and having fun, listening to podcasts and books. Just a great experience together as a family.
For sure. The one thing that we are missing this trip is we're without 3 of our kids.
Yeah.
So that has definitely been kind of hard, not getting to experience this with them. But we do have Isaac and Faith with us, our 2 middle kids. So that's been great, just spending time with them and getting to know them a little bit better and having all the moments for sure. So we're just going to go ahead and get into it and interview Isaac today. So Isaac, one of the things that I wanted to ask you is what made you decide to pick the Grand Canyon, or out west for that matter, as your first, adventure?
Well, so a few years back we took a road trip to Colorado, and I think there we all kind of fell in love with the mountains and just out here, to be honest, just the environment and the people out here. The Grand Canyon in particular, I've not been, but I looked at several jobs in different national parks, and I felt like this was the best job opportunity. It seemed like the best thing for my personality in a way, or what I wanted to do. So yeah.
And when you get out there, what exactly is your job? And more so than what your job is, what are you most excited to do while you're out here?
Well, so my job is going to be a bell person at a lodge. So I'll just transport luggage to rooms and work the front desk occasionally, and just make sure everything's clean in that area. I'm definitely excited for the off hours where I'm not working, because you'll have the Grand Canyon right there, so you can explore that. And then what's really cool about this place is they do lots of shuttles to different locations around us. So Within like 2 hours, there's Las Vegas. There's Zion again. We just went there, as well as Bryce Canyon. So there's like a lot of stuff around here that the company shuttles employees and people that want to go to different locations.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and on top of obviously hiking the Grand Canyon and doing all the stuff that is involved with that, there's a lot to do. So,
What part of the Grand Canyon are you going to?
so it is the North Rim. It's the North Rim Lodge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so far, we've been out here, us four, and honestly, we've all fallen in love with this place already.
Yes, Utah. We have stayed in for, was it 4 days now?
Yeah.
And this place is ridiculously amazing.
So you mentioned the people. Can you expound a little bit on that? Like, what do you mean when you say the people? What is that? How are they different, or what's the draw there with the people?
I'm not sure. Everyone kind of just seems a little more laid back and friendlier. I don't know if that has to do with being in like such a surreal place.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if they over the years have grown tired of it, maybe it just sticks with them in a different way and makes their personality different. But yeah, for the most part, it's that just friendlier people.
Yeah, I noticed that while we've been out here, just the service industry.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking on the East Coast.
Not at all.
But I am gonna say, I think laid back is the right word.
Yeah.
People are just a little bit more chilled. They don't seem as I'm gonna say busy. Like I think because on their off time they spend that time exploring, like you're gonna do. You're gonna explore, so much, and I think it's just very refreshing.
Yeah.
To be able to get out and get into God's creation, the mountains and valleys and the Grand Canyon, all that. So, yeah, pretty neat.
So, when you were younger, what were some of the careers that you kind of thought that you would go into? And do you have a career in mind for later in life? Or is this something that you think you're going to take as far as you can until you're like, okay, I've seen, I've done, I've experienced all I've wanted to?
So this is more of something, if I could go back, as a lot of us wish we could, right out of high school I would have done this. But I didn't, and I just worked and saved a lot. So this is more of like, I want to do this before I get into anything for real. And I'm not gonna know if I like it or not until I'm in a situation, and nothing's perfect, whether that be a job or place. So the good thing about this job is you can go to different locations and different places and meet new people, and sometimes you might not like it, sometimes you will, but for a career in the future, I still am not completely sure, and I'm fine with that, because I think right now I just want to sort of expand my horizon of what I know and have experienced.
Yeah, so I've got a question. So let me ask you this. What are just a couple fears, anybody out there, especially somebody, so Isaac, you're 23?
Yep.
So anybody out there in their early 20s, they don't have a family, they're really not locked into a career yet. What are some of the fears that you had to push through in order to even do this? Like, do you have a couple fears that are like, that may have stopped you, or that you're pushing through even now to do this?
Well, I think going out onto your own, whether that be for 5 months or longer, is scary in any situation, for anybody, no matter how mentally strong or, you know. So I think that everyone's going to have fears in anything they do, whether that's starting a new job right where you live right now or moving, you know, across the country. And
Yeah.
so I just think we all can handle more than we think we can, and understanding, like, we've pushed through to get to the point where we are now. Even if that's a bad point, you're still here and you've survived, so you can do a lot more than you think you can. So I think just like looking past the fears at what's possible in terms of the good things that can come out of it rather than the not so good things, can be really important.
So just want to give a quick shout out to Maya. She's the one who kind of inspired this, turned us on to how to go onto the website that she gave us and point us in the right direction when it came to Isaac finding someplace to go and work. She's been actually doing this for 9 years now, and she absolutely loves it and has been to so many amazing places, and she's just an adventure seeker, and so just wanted to give out a shout out to her.
Yes, for sure.
Because she's definitely made this process a smooth one. So thank you so much, Maya.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So one of the things that I wanted to ask you, you've done a lot of growth from high school till now. And one of the things that I've always said is, like, you've always been really mature. I would say from like 12 on, you've always had this mindset of maturity. And
yeah, we won't talk about before that.
Yeah, those were fun times.
Yeah.
But the growth that we have seen in you from high school till now has just been tremendous, and we're so very proud of you for that. Can you kind of expound a little bit on what that growth journey was like? What you did, what you read, how you got past like comfort zones and really got you to the point of saying, you know what, I need to go out on my own and I need to do this. What were some of those things that you've done?
So it's crazy because, like, one thing that you read can really change your life, and I really had not read that much in high school. So after high school, I started reading self-improvement books and things along those lines, and it just taught me a lot in terms of like what you can do, and that where you are now can change. And that takes small baby steps that lead to like this long line of skills and improvement. So I think the biggest thing I learned from all that is when you're comfortable, you're definitely not growing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the main reasons I wanted to move. I had grown really comfortable in my jobs, and it just was causing me to stand still in development and in emotional intelligence, I guess. So I think just pushing ourselves to be uncomfortable is really important, and yeah, moving across the country is really something that can do that.
For sure.
Let me just give everybody some perspective here on Isaac and his personality. So, Isaac is definitely an introvert, and so it doesn't come natural for him to just jump out there and communicate. So, for instance, he's the one that really doesn't, I'm going to say out of all of our kids, really doesn't have that natural charisma, I guess, of what it would be. And so, I guess what I would say in the last couple of years, if there was any spot that, in my eyes, that I've seen you grow, it is in that, is communication and talking to people and being confident when you talk to people, how you talk to people. What are some things that you've done to do that for those that are introverts and feel uncomfortable around people or in a room full of people? And I know you still deal with that, and you may forever deal with that, but what are some things that you've done to overcome that in small steps? Is there certain things that you've read or things that you've done to do that?
So reading definitely goes only so far. You definitely have to put what you read into action, and if you don't do that, you're just, again, not really growing. So the first book on communication I really read was How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah, good.
And going through those small steps when communicating with people and just noticing certain things when you're communicating with people, as like noticing as the first step can help you get like more excited about it in a way. And I think through excitement you can go further because you're more motivated to keep going. So that's where it kind of started. Wait, can you remind me of the question?
Oh yeah, that's all right. Just like what steps have you taken to push through, put yourself out there to communicate and to look people in the eyes, and just those small things I think are a big deal. Smiling at people, and I guess you kind of answered it because you said you started with How to Win Friends and Influence People, implementing those things. And here you are going to a place where you're not around family, you're not around friends. And to be honest with you, out of all our children, I always knew you were adventurous, but I know that this, like you said, pushes you past those limits, and you're going to have to do those things even more out there. So that's just very impressive to me that you're doing that. So, yeah.
Are there certain steps that were harder to push through? Or was it just as you implemented those small steps little by little and you were consistent with it, it got easier?
Yeah, it definitely gets easier over time. It's like it becomes like second nature as like anything you do over and over and over again. My job definitely helped me because talking to customers and even your teammates really pushes you to become better in that area. I am nowhere near where I want to be, but everything's an improvement constantly. You can never be perfect in anything. But this podcast is terrifying for me. So, and I did not want it, but it's another form of improvement, I guess.
Definitely.
So looking at it that way, I guess is important. But yeah, it gets easier over time because as you build the habit of talking to people, it just gets, it becomes like who you are in a way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you're just constantly doing it.
Yeah, and you get more confident in it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And that inspires you to do more and more. So.
I remember when you guys were younger and we would go to like Wendy's or McDonald's, and I think because you never wanted to talk, I would have you order yourself. Do you remember that?
I don't.
You probably
but I
don't.
probably hated you for it.
Yeah, you probably did hate me for it, but I remember that is?
Yes, that's a repressed memory.
But I would have you go up and I would say, okay, tell them what you want. and it was a struggle for you, but you did it, and so that's just cool. That I mean, here you are reading about it and improving on it. So, yeah. Just for the record, everybody, we are coming into what is that?
The
Kabbab
National Forest. Kabbab. All those people that know what Kabbab is, we don't, but.
Or if we're saying it wrong.
We're
Yeah,
saying
it's
it
possible.
wrong. Yeah. Another national forest we're going through, which is beautiful.
So, what are some things that you're going to miss from being home? And what are some things that you are really looking forward to?
So, first thing off the top of my head, Hercules.
Wow,
No,
that's one
no.
of our dogs.
Yeah, that's my dog. No, family for sure. And I don't think I'll fully realize that until I'm like further into it. But again, yeah, it's gonna be uncomfortable, but that comes with the territory. So, you're kind of secluded in this area, so I'm sure I'll miss fast food and convenience of stores everywhere and all that. It won't be for too long, and we'll take trips and all that to different places, but I'm really excited about that secludity too. Just a change of scenery and lifestyle that I think is good for really anybody, because we can get wrapped up in social media a lot and
Definitely.
other people's lives.
Yeah.
And I think this can really help me personally improve on who I am and who I want to be. And I really want to focus on that during this time.
And probably really getting to know yourself in a much deeper way than you've ever been able
Yeah.
to.
Exactly.
One of the things that I remember is, I think 3 years ago, like right before COVID hit, you and I took a trip out to Colorado, and that moment was, well, first, just the honor that I got to go out there with you was huge for me. But it was truly eye-opening for me as a mom, because it was the first time, even though we took a trip to Colorado before that, we went as a family. So I really didn't, there were so many more people to pay attention to. And so I really didn't notice fully. But when you and I took that trip out to Colorado, just the look on your face when we got out there and you got around the mountains and the land and the people, I truly saw that this was going to be something that I knew was going to happen. Because at the time, you were planning on moving to Colorado,
Yes.
but it didn't work out because of COVID.
Yeah, and I'd probably use that as a crutch. I could have still moved, and I think fear set in for a lot of that, and I do regret it, but, moved past it, and here we are, so.
Definitely. But it was the first time that I saw really, truly you light up in a way that I've never seen you light up. And so for a parent, that was just beautiful to see. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah. And I think a lot of those trips just, encourage me to do that, to what I'm doing now. Because, when we, as siblings, went to Montana, it's, just as us 5, it shows us that we can be independent, and it gives us a sense of, confidence and power that we hadn't experienced before, and I think doing stuff like that really can show you personally, how much you can do. I think when you have people to lean on, you use them as a crutch. So
Definitely.
even if you don't want to, it's like a built-in
Buffer.
thing. Yeah. And then I recently went to Africa. Shout out to the Walkers.
Yes.
Yeah, they provided me with an amazing time there. I was there for an entire month, and
Wow.
they took care of me extremely well, provided for me for basically everything. And that sense of independence of flying there alone gives you confidence as well, and really just it got my travel bug going again.
Yes.
Because I've always had one, and this sense of adventurous lifestyle is something I always wanted to do. And this is me going about that. Even if it is for a short period of time, I think I needed it. So
Definitely. And just for those listening, the Walkers are actually, Candace is Rodney's sister, and Candace and Bob are missionaries in Africa and have been for at least 13 years.
At least, yeah.
And they just are amazing people, and just being able to give Isaac that opportunity of a lifetime was a blessing for sure.
yeah, so definitely shout out to them and their kids.
Yes.
They have 11 children, so everybody knows.
Yes.
So amazing couple, so proud of them and what they're doing, and the fact that they were able to have Isaac experience their missionary work. And so getting to Africa, obviously, I mean, you're taking a 2-day flight over there. Can you just explain just a couple things briefly, like what you did over there? I know that you went to one of the 7 wonders of the world. Can you explain where that was and what you guys did?
Yeah, so they're based in Zambia. So that's like the lower east side. It's kind of middle-ish, actually.
Yeah.
And in Zambia, on the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe, is Victoria Falls. So me and a few of my cousins and one of their friends, we all took a bus 15 hours to Victoria Falls, which was like an African experience. That was amazing.
Was it packed? Was the bus packed?
At some points, yeah. It was an awesome experience, and yeah, so we got to see Victoria Falls, which was incredible. Definitely deserves one of the 7 wonders of the world, or natural 7 wonders of the world. And I also got to see a lot of what they do missionary-wise, in terms of helping street boys and putting them through schooling and providing housing for them and teaching them, how to apply skills and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty remarkable what they're doing over there.
Yes, it is.
So just so everybody knows, right now we're driving through that national forest and we're looking over, and so it's crazy here in Arizona. You have, like, on one side you have all these rocks with no grass and desert, and now we're looking over to the left and we're seeing mountains with all these green trees too. So
It's gorgeous.
wow,
Yeah.
so you go from one extreme to the other in a matter of minutes. It's beautiful.
So I think one of the most remarkable things that I am just excited to hear about and know about is what you're going to be doing, how life is going to be for you, seeing the growth. And, again, with any new thing in life, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be things that you don't like and things that you do. I'm excited to see you push through and see you try new things. What are some things that you think you will encounter? Have you like planned out, or are you just like going by the seat of your pants in this situation?
So, kind of both in a way. Like, I have like a plan, but I also do want to kind of wing it. So I'm going to start like looking for other national park jobs coming up here pretty soon, because this is a 5-month employment contract. So after that, I'll probably head to another national park and then decide from there what I want to do.
So go ahead.
So, well, I don't want to change subjects, but I do want to talk about, to all the parents out there also, like, what, because I just want everybody to know that, you know, and a lot of you can relate to this, and some of you are going to relate to this because it's just the process of life. You know, when your kids move out, you know, you're excited for your kids, you're proud of them for taking a step, whatever and wherever they're going, whether it be into a marriage and into, you know, a national park, just exploring, or their own apartment or college. You know, there's definitely a grieving process, and for a parent, you're excited, but at the same time, there's a lot of emotions involved for sure. So,
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, Isabel, just to speak on that. Like,
Okay.
what, and we've had the privilege to spend the last week here with you and doing all this great stuff with the park and all that, which is probably, you know, harnessed some of those emotions because we've been so busy.
Yes.
But what have those been like for you?
So it's definitely been a roller coaster. I would say Isaac is the most uncomfortable with us showing a good amount of emotion out of the 4 kids. The other 3, I can cry in front of them. You know, Gabe might laugh,
Yeah.
but it's not something that makes him uncomfortable in a way. And you know, my girls, they'll just cry with me.
Yeah.
So I've really tried to respect and not make him feel uncomfortable in any way. But I've also communicated with him throughout, like before the trip and then throughout the trip, when I'm having a moment where I need to talk to him and show him that emotion. You know, it's crazy because usually, you know, a lot of kids will go off to college right after high school, and you go through that rather quickly. We've had the privilege and the honor of having a good amount of time after high school with Isaac, with Faith, with Sierra, with Gabe. Even though Sierra was gone for 4 years, not living in our house, she was still rather close. So it was easier. So this has been, you know, it's funny because I kind of pride myself with being able to keep up with everyone when we're hiking, even though my legs are shorter and I have to take 3 or 4 steps to their 1. I've always enjoyed hiking with them, and I can keep up really well, but this week has just been so challenging for me, and I'm one to beat myself up in those instances. And I don't think it was until Thursday morning I finally broke down and was like, why am I having such a hard time? And Rodney was like, well, this is a hard week, and it's not just physical, it's you're emotionally going through so much, and so it has an effect on you on how you are able to do everything else. So I am yeah, it's touch and go. I have moments where I'm not even thinking about Isaac, and I will immediately start crying out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Or someone brings something up, and I start tearing up. So I try not to talk about it or think about it too much, but this week my goal was to live in the moment, enjoy every moment with Isaac, and just really try to not hold back my emotions, which I have done and haven't done, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I think it's definitely been rough. So how about you?
Well, as a dad, obviously I'm emotional, but I'm more excited. I don't, I am sad, but um, I think the biggest thing for me is just, you know, I'm excited. I'm just excited for him. I'm excited for this adventure. I know that, he's been ready for it, and I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to do this and he's going to do it well because that's what he does with everything. So, um, I guess what I would say as a marriage couple, though, and to those married couples out there, you need to be patient with one another, and you need to talk and communicate those emotions with each other when your children leave, because I found myself being short with you at at times, and like wondering why are you acting like this way, or what's with the attitude, and really that's selfish in me because you're losing your oldest son for a while, and could be for a long time. So I'm trying. I've tried. I have been short, and we've communicated through that, and we're just going to continue to communicate through that with all of our kids because, um, again, those married couples, I want you to know this, and this is important. Um, your marriage, whether your kids are at home or they're slowly moving on with their life, that's what you're going to come back to. You started together, you're going to end together, and so the communication. Don't let this drive a wedge between you guys when your kids are moving out or when you're going through this. It's so important that you sit down and be understanding and try to put yourself in the other person's shoes, because each of you handle it differently and at different times. And so I know you're not going to handle it the way I'm handling it, and I know I'm not going to handle it the way you handle it. So this week I've learned to communicate better and just try to have more empathy towards you during this time, because again, you're the mama. So,
which is crazy to me because you've always been an amazing communicator, and you've always been the one that has taught me how to really truly communicate. And so hearing that you feel like you have learned something this week in communication is crazy, because I feel like I've been so up and down, and I'm not the communicator, so all I do is kind of stew in my emotions, and then it starts to come out in different ways. Being short with Rodney, not having patience, and so it's just been definitely a learning experience. So now that we've talked to Isaac, which technically we were just going to interview Isaac today, but since Faith is here, we want to kind of explore the other half of the situation where, how is it for the siblings when the older brother or the older sister, or it may even be a younger sibling, is leaving, and how that feels, and what are some things that you do to cope and things like that. So, Faith, what has been the way that you've kind of coped, and have you had like conversations with Isaac throughout this time before he, is going off on his own?
Well, we did have the whole 29-hour drive here.
That's right, you guys. For those that are listening, we did take 2 vehicles here, so we started with 2. We're down to 1 as of now. Oh, the bumps of the road trips, right? The things you have to endure. So we all are in 1 vehicle, but on the way here, for majority of the way, Faith and Isaac drove together. So I just wanted to say that, which was kind of cool.
It was cool. I guess I've just been trying to enjoy every moment I do get with him. I have bad memory like my father, but so I'm not remembering a lot of that car ride.
Were you guys listening to a book, I heard?
We were listening to the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Really good book. So we kind of did talk a lot about that. We would pause it, talk about it. As for coping, it has hit me certain times, but I think when I will really feel it is when we do drop him off and he's not in the car anymore, and then we get home and it'll just be the 4 of us instead of the 5 of us siblings. So, I mean, I haven't even looked in his room because I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I think it's just harder for our family because we are so close.
Mm-hmm.
So Isaac being this far away is kind of hard to come to terms with. And it's the first time one of us will be this far away. So yeah, I've definitely had moments where I'm sad, but more than anything, just excited and proud of him. So
For sure.
I think you're right with the whole when we get home.
yeah, it's gonna hit
He's
different.
not there.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
I'm not
definitely gonna be hard.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get emotional here.
I know, I'm trying not to.
Expound. but like,
Yeah. It's gonna be weird for sure. I mean, even if it's me, Gabe, CC, Deja, if it's just us hanging out and Isaac's not there, there is like a weird. It doesn't feel right. Like if one of us is out of the picture, so it's definitely something that we'll have to. I mean, I don't think we'll ever really get used to it, but something we'll have to,
cope with.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, what are some things that you have learned from Isaac, let's say over the course of the last couple years, that maybe has inspired you or that you've admired and it's allowed you to push forward as well?
Yeah, I think the most important thing the thing that I've learned from Isaac is just finding the humor in situations that might be difficult. I think Isaac's pretty hard on himself too, and he's worked on it. I think that's something that I really need to work on, and just being able to laugh at yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
And just the way that he pushes himself to do things that are uncomfortable, that he's never done before. So, yeah. I mean, he definitely just makes me want to better myself in every aspect. Every conversation, I'm like, oof, I need to be better. I'm like, dang, he's pretty smart.
It's funny because I think he does that for each and every one of us.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think he's just really good at making you feel like you can do whatever you set your mind to.
Yeah, and the other thing I do appreciate about Isaac is he does not sugarcoat it. So he will tell me stuff that I do not want to hear. And I'm like, shit, that's kind of harsh. But it's
Definitely.
just his way of, he sees potential in everybody, and he's gonna tell you straight up exactly what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing, and how to make sure that you're taking the steps to better yourself.
And
So.
and just to add to that, I think he's good at knowing where everybody's at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He knows where everybody's at, and he pre-thinks
Yeah.
his conversations, so they're usually intentional. And when they're not, he's already pre-thought of what the conversation is going to be.
Yeah.
So it's like when you try to
Absolutely.
argue with his bud, he's already thought of an answer
Oh, yes.
where you can't justify it at all. So-
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
agree. So, what is something that gosh, do you have a question? Sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, and I think that through this, I think it's because you guys are going to be learning too how to cope as siblings, but the communication with each other will be huge.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm going to be honest, you guys are going to have to pick up the slack, right?
Yeah.
That he does at home and the things that he does, and not that you're able to replace him at all, but help each other through this because we've never really been through this to this extreme.
Yeah.
So the communication between you guys, which is great anyway, I shouldn't even have to say that. I know you guys will lean on each other. You always have, and you always will.
Yeah.
But just to continue to ask each other, how you doing?
Yeah, it's something we've never really done before.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be a learning process, and we're going to have to be there for each other.
Definitely.
For sure.
Well, I think that this trip has been amazing.
Yeah.
It's definitely been one of a kind. I think aside from your guys' siblings trip, it's been really the first trip, when Sierra didn't go with us to Colorado that one time, where we weren't all together as a family on a trip. So it's been a little different in that regard, but it has been so eye-opening and so amazing to get to just have this time with you guys, and most importantly to have this time with Isaac before he goes off. I mean, honestly, you guys are all in your 20s, so I'm pretty sure within the next couple years things are gonna, and this is just the start, things are gonna start changing drastically. So that concludes this podcast.
So, Isaac, do you have any final comments of this podcast, of anybody out there that might be contemplating or wondering what they're going to do with their life or anything like that, like maybe coming out of high school, or just any advice? And I know you shared quite a bit, but any last comments from your end?
Well, I think you can settle down at any time, and when you don't have kids or a spouse, it's a lot easier just to go out and try new things. Or even, honestly, with those things. I don't think you should use that as an excuse not to do that stuff. So, I think just pushing yourself to go where you want and see what else is out there for you. It's really important. Because then you'll regret it and live with that.
Living a life of regret is very hard. Choose your hard.
Yeah, and just I guess the last thing I'll say is for all the married couples out there, just want to encourage you all that you can get through it together. Make sure your marriage is strong. Communicate as spouses with one another. Be there for one another. Try to put yourself in their shoes, what they're going through when it comes to this process of your kids leaving the home, and especially the mother aspect. I didn't realize, honestly, that this was even a thing. You know what I mean? You don't realize, and then it's here. So And it's like, wow, I didn't realize this would be real hard. And it actually is a grieving process. So,
Definitely.
and just like any grieving process, it has to happen. And the timetable of it, there isn't one. So it could take a day, it could take a week, it could take a month, it could take a year, whatever that looks like, because it's different for each person. Be there together and help each other through it, because your marriage will get stronger. Just as I feel like ours did just this week as we're going through it. And when we get back home, to try to get through it together as well, because it will be different, and we're going to have to help each other and help our kids through it as well. But also, all that said, we're extremely stoked and excited.
Definitely.
Yes.
And just be patient with yourself through this situation. It takes time. It takes being, just very intentional with your everyday movements and what you're doing. Take the time to love on yourself and grieve through it, and make sure that you are just processing the situation and what you're going through, because sometimes it's hard to just let it out, and most of the time that's the number one thing you have to do. And that's definitely one of the things that I've learned this week, is to trust the process of just going through it and letting your emotions flow.
Yeah.
And communicate, definitely.
Yeah. What you resist will persist. So.
Yes. So this has been amazing. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you for coming along on this journey, and most importantly on this car ride with us.
Yes. Wish everybody could see this.
Definitely. So we just want to thank you and tell you that we will see you or talk to you next time, where we will
Get better
together.
Let's get better. Bye.